Bismillah, sallallahu ala rasulillah. Okay, so the fundamental question actually which is very much related to the Islamic world and the era which we are living upon now after September the 11th is, does the picture of women in the Islamic world reflect the real image of Muslim women according to the textual evidence or the recorded history in the first days of Islam? And here again I'm recalling the very important book, The Liberation of Women through the era of revelation. It is to someone, his name Abdul Halim Abu Shaqqa. And what he has done there, he was recalling the exact history, the exact historical and the social and historical life of the Prophet and his companion. Why is that? Why is that? Well, his book, really it is important, and actually it is the very inspiring book which inspired me all the way long. And every time I think every single woman should have a copy of it and read it perfectly. Not only skim it, read it perfectly and keep reading upon it every single time. Why is that?
Right? You writing that down?
This book, it is in Arabic,
What's the
and
title
we are
in Arabic?
looking forward. The title in Arabic is تحرير المرأة في عصر الرسالة. He added to this title the side title to explain his target, and it is the very inspiring target that actually helped and still helping many young students, males or females, or someone who seek the real and the proper knowledge of Islam when it comes to the relationship between the two sexes. Okay? Why such important and emphasis upon this book? Because it is bringing what is missing in practice, which is the prophetic example. I'm not saying, and he wasn't saying that people and Muslims, they don't care about the prophet example, but they are not activating it. They used to work and to live upon it, and then it being faded away in practice. This is why, and we do have live upon such problem here in the Islamic world in specific, and then what is moved from the Islamic world to the West, which is that we are recalling from the prophetic sunnah some sound hadith which is not understood perfectly, the meaning being misunderstood. So what, instead of understanding it perfectly and help people to live upon it perfectly, we used to recall, some people used to recall those hadith and put forward the misunderstanding of them to be the final understanding, and ask people to live upon that and to say this is what the Prophet said. So again, in this specific era, the picture of Muslims is dull when it comes to the prophetic sunnah. The other mistake that people in the Islamic world do, and I'm referring to ulama and to those who gives khutbah and responsible for education in the Islamic world, what they do, and issue some fatwa sometimes, what they do, that the other mistake, that they bring in some false hadith without even studying their authenticity. And they brought this in to the public to be the speech of the Prophet. So actually, these are two grave mistakes. One of them is related to the treatment of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to be responsible when it comes to relating to him. And this is a lie. And such lie is not forgiven and acceptable in Islam. The other thing is to bring those false hadith which actually in contrast with the objectives of Sharia and some sound texts of Islam in Quran or in authentic Sunnah. What they do in this case, they are bringing the idea that Islam is contradicting each other.
Excuse me, Dr. Dua.
Yes.
I've been staying here for the past 25 years, and my husband is the khatib of a number of mosques for 25 years. To our knowledge, because I always go to the mosque also to hear, to our knowledge, most of the imam give authentic hadith. They cannot say contrary because many people, they know hadith well. And maybe a small percentage, nowadays the imam of the mosque, they are being elected by the awqaf.
Yes.
They are quite ignorant, some of them, but most of the, even the young ones, they give the right hadith. They cannot give the incorrect hadith because the people know in general, because many people, contrary to what we believe, many people are quite knowledgeable. You know, your audience, we don't think they are really stupid, they don't know. Many of them, they are doctors, they are professional, and they know the basic hadith. It cannot be the hadith that they quote mostly, they are correct.
Okay.
You see?
Well, the thing, what you said already, it is acceptable in some way, and the practice and what we see is exactly the opposite. What I'm saying, that we are not nullifying the fact that we may have some people who are knowledgeable when it comes to the prophetic sunnah. But the problem that we have many of them, of those imams, what called imams, and I think giving this title imams, it is very tricky title because people gives this voluntarily to anyone who knows some hadith and some Quran. Why they should be really very careful to give such title and such position to those people. What you said already, this is very true, that yes, we may have some people who are who knows mashallah very well, but there are some. The majority being assigned by some department which we call awqaf in the Arab world, okay? And this awqaf, in general, they will give the headlines for each khutbah, okay? To actually, why they done that? They did that because they noticed that the damage is huge if they leave those imams to say whatever they said. Again, I'm not saying that they done this by purpose or because they hate women. I'm not saying that, please notice. What I'm saying that they try to go back to some books written long time ago, and the text, some prophetic tradition related to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and some understanding wasn't examined. So what they do, they took it from the books and they give it to the public without examining it. Actually, it is the same problem that some new preacher, dua of Islam, admit. They said, we don't have the experience of searching for the authenticity of the hadith. What we do that we rely upon those books related to the 4th century, 5th century, 6th century, to name At-Tabari, Ibn Kathir, and they don't know the historical context of those books. Those books are good. We are not saying that they are not, but some of those that material in those books need to be examined again. And those ulama of the past, they said, they never claim actually what they are saying, it is the final understanding. You see, so the understanding was, when it comes to understanding, it is to fit with their time. But when it comes to tradition, again, some of them, like Ibn Kathir, in that era, they've been writing for students and for other ulama, not for the public. So the students who've been interested, they used to copy those books and to articulate upon them. But later on, those books being given to the public, and the public reading it without having in mind such awareness, which those ulama insisted to have whenever you deal with their books. So this is important. And again, I have to remind you, even the holder of PhD, if they are away of the specialist of hadith, so they don't know how to judge and how to treat. So the least to be done is to go to authentic book, like Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and to try to debate and to rely upon those hadith being judged. So the first task should be done, okay, and to reduce the damage. The other task is the better understanding. And then it is something that we are trying to do our utmost effort to fulfill, okay? So I remind everyone not to think at any time we are mentioning any ulama, any alim, any imams from the past or of the present time, that we are mentioning him in the purpose of lowering him down, or to say that he did nothing and he is doing this harm and damage in purpose. No. We have to remember all that looking for the right
Don't you think also,
understanding is a requirement. Yes. I've been mentioning Abdul Halim Abu Shukka, and what he has done. His book was written late in the 19th, no, actually in the beginning of the 20th century. And what his preface was written by Sheikh Yusuf al-Qardawi, who you are relating to. Okay. What you are reflecting upon actually put forward the question, why should Abdul Halim Abu Shukka and any other person in our present time try to examine again the texts and the main sources of Islam? Quran, we don't have a problem with Quran because it is the authenticity question is done. It is authentic and we don't have any problem with that. Okay, this is why Al-Quran is miraculous. Okay, but the other part of revelation is Sunnah. It is the way of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the practice of the Prophet, which is the practice of the Prophet is the ultimate and the perfect understanding of Sharia, the perfect understanding of Al-Quran practically. Okay? So this area exactly what Abdul Halim Abu Shukka and what we are trying to emphasize upon. My theory is that we are not living up to the level of Al-Quran and As-Sunnah. This is for sure, and I think everyone think perfectly will come to the same conclusion. The Islamic world everywhere, people in the Islamic world, Muslims in the Islamic world, they are not reflecting Islam according to what being clearly expressed in the Quran itself or in the sound Sunnah. So in Al-Quran, what we needed, this is according to Abdul Halim al-Shaqqa. And I remind you, Sheikh Al-Qaradawi, he wrote the preface for him, for this book. And this, I think, according to you, Imam Abdullah, will make such book in better place and such effort, understood perfectly. So why should we have such book in the 20th century? Wasn't Al-Quran and sound Sunnah and Sunnah everywhere enough? Well, this book, it is a collection from the verses of Al-Quran and the sound hadith and sound practice of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. This means that there is, in practice, in our Islamic world, there is some people living upon things which they consider to be Islamic while it is not. The title of the book, Liberation.
Yeah.
Okay? And so the target is to bring in, to activate the liberation which being done through the era of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to reactivate again. So that the understanding then, it is not activating, it is not there. It is not there, okay? Why is that? His book, verses of Al-Quran, we read all the verses of Al-Quran. So what is the problem? Not to recall them, this is one problem, in practice, and not to understand those verses perfectly. So this is a part of our problem in the Islamic world. The second part, still, so we are reading Al-Quran and we are not living upon it when it comes to women issue. Am I saying this in general? Well, I'm not. But what is on the surface, according to the records, according to human rights, according to divorce numbers, which is getting higher and higher, we do have the problem. We are living upon this problem of not activating, not practicing up to the level of Al-Quran.
Yeah.
This is important. So the perfect understanding as well of those verses is not there. So this is the other part of the problem. So what Abdul Halim Abu Shaqqa and we are doing and following him by doing that is to recall again to people's minds that, come on, you are reading Al-Quran, activate those verses. You read different verses of Al-Quran, activate perfect understanding. So this is our task.
Yeah.
So this task in certain era was fulfilled, and I'm referring now to the era of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his Khalifas. But later on, the Islamic world was changing, and what was giving position first is not by practice, is not anymore. So Al-Quran, according to those verses, changed to be some verses to recite and to be blessed by, but not to live upon when it comes to women issue. And not only in women issue, we have this problem. We are facing this problem everywhere when it comes to Muslim and Islam and Quran. And people, the Muslim people, they are not living upon Al-Quran. Again, not only in women issue, in every single issue. Okay? So women issue is not an exceptional. So it is one of many issues that Muslims, they are not living upon. The other point that Abdul Halim Abu Shaqqa, he brought in sound hadith. This is exactly to say, and clearly, that there is in public some hadith in people's hands and mind which are not sound, and they live upon. So what he said, come on, those sound hadith and sound practices of the Prophet during the time of revelation, that exactly the era you have to imitate and to follow. And any hadith which is against such hadith, such sound hadith, there is certain problems of that hadith. Instead of living upon contradicted messages related both to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, something to do and something not to do, something to accept and something not to accept, something to say that woman is full human being, and some others to say woman is short, short understanding. There are some short mentality, short. Yes, but again, and such hadith which related to such issue, hang on, which is sound, hang on, and this is the other part of the problem, and the other sound hadith which the literal understanding supersede the acceptable understanding which goes perfectly with every other sound hadith. Again, so the other problem that we live upon Sunnah is the misunderstanding. So we have, just to summarize, misrelating, misunderstanding, and then the last thing, misusage of those verses even, and some sound hadith. Misusing, misleading messages coming out from cutting those sound hadith, if it been proven that they are sound, because they're being cut from their context, from their historical context, and the historical message that being given by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So again, I don't want any of you to jump to any conclusion, but it is to say that whether we like it or not, damage being done. As you've been saying, Abdullah, if the ulama of the past, they tried and they put much effort, but yet, inshallah, may Allah reward them. But what they have done, it is the understanding upon their time and upon their knowledge. Now, in the present time, we are not excused. The meaning, we have internet.
Yeah.
We can communicate. We can search easily.
Yeah.
The search for the sound of hadith, which used to take years, months, even in my time, 20 years ago, it used to take really 1 month, 2 months, even 1 year. Because we've been relying upon books, and we've been in shorthand, not to reach every single information. Now, the gate is open. But to add here, actually this open gate of communication actually push us more to study. Why is that? Because what is being proven to be authentic in some area, for example in Saudi Arabia, and now they can communicate with the Jordanians, ulama, and they can listen to them, and they can hear them say that this is not authentic. When it comes to niqab and burqa and khimar and covering face issue. Now with this gate of communication, open gate of communication, we can't say anymore, no one actually has the right to say we have final view about this, because we have many views now, and it is to the public, it is to people to choose what suits them upon the proven views. That I'm going to say that my view is the right thing. These are the evidence. So people are not the same. After September the 11th, the question of Ibn Laden, is there the fanatics in Muslim world, are they right, or the moderates, are they right, or the ordinary Muslims, are they responsible for such understanding? Well, it is to say, briefly, we have different understanding in the Islamic world, not only politically speaking, but socially speaking, even historically speaking, about certain groups in Islam and certain views in Islam. The same when it comes to the question of validity and legitimacy. To say this is acceptable or not, this is something to do with Islam. So the minute we raise the question, is it Islamic? We have now many views. Someone will be with, some will be against, but in the end of the day, we have to say, show me the evidence. And now evidence are available.